Welcome to Richard and Greg, a channel dedicated to discussion, debate and argument on a whole array of topics. Today we provide an update on the international figures for coronavirus infections and deaths, and also discuss some of the relief measures announced today to help those who may find themselves either out of work or whose businesses could close as the result of this COVID-19 pandemic. Now, we abruptly end the discussion as Greg had an important phone call at the conclusion of the video, so it is cut off pretty quickly. So, without further ado, let's listen to that discussion. Welcome to Richard and Greg. Coronavirus, 20th of March 2020. The time, 21:31 GMT. I've just taken a quick look at the coronavirus infection figures in the United Kingdom and the number of deaths. And we have 3,983 infections and 177 deaths so far, which is 4.4%. Whenever we seem to chat, these figures, these percentages seem to rise, average percentages seem to rise by 0.1, 0.2, 0.3% each time, which is somewhat worrying. Today, the British Prime Minister has confirmed that all schools will close and that his Chancellor is offering all sorts of goodies, benefits, payoffs, monies to those who could or have been laid off work as a result of the coronavirus infection. So, without further ado, let's go to controversially Greg and get a more complete update. Greg, good evening to you.
Good evening, Richard. The update I'm working off of is 21:21 hours GMT, so it's pretty damned up to date in as far as it's accurate, because we all know that lots of countries are playing fast and loose with the figures. We are only talking with the numbers who have presented with the disease of the proven cases. We are not talking of the many that have not been tested but are feeling rough. So we are talking of those that have progressed through the stages of the disease already, and there will be a number of people who have never been recorded, who have had the virus and recovered from it. So even the percentages of morbidity are nothing like accurate, but they are to be used as a guide. Worldwide, we have 274,077 declared cases. The milestone we've just passed was 250,000. We have 11,354 recorded deaths when we only topped 10,000 yesterday. So it is an escalating death rate at the moment. We know that some countries have started to take off. China would appear to have stopped recording it with any degree of veracity, but since they didn't record it with any degree of veracity in the first place, I don't suppose much has changed there. It begins to look to me as if China said, yes, we've had 3,248 people die of the virus so far. However, with the damage it's doing to our economy and not having a society with a comprehensive health system and a benefit structure as with Britain, if we're not damn careful, if the economy continues to tank, we'll have more people dying of starvation than we have dying of the disease. So it does rather look as if they've slacked off the lockdown to get more people back into production, to keep more people alive by keeping the economy going and people fed. Perhaps I'm maligning them, but when you think they have 2 million people currently imprisoned because of their chosen superstition, and yet they deny it and say they're there for re-education and for the good of their ability, people who treat their people in that manner, I don't think you can really rely on them to treat their sick, their lame, and their halt any better. When you think that executions in China are frequently carried out in the back of a van at the prison immediately after the court case, so that they can immediately extract organs to then sell them for transplant, they have a somewhat different attitude to their citizens than that which pertains in the Western world. Italy is now escalating in that they have 47,021 cases that they've actually identified. That's a rise of 5,986 today. That means that we can realistically expect a rise tomorrow, I would guesstimate, in the region of 7,000 or 8,000 more cases. Italy is recording more than 50% of the cases China is admitting to presenting. And Italy has had 4,032 deaths to date, whereas the whole of China was 3,248 admitted to. Spain is fast coming up on the inside track with 21,500 recorded cases and just over 1,000 deaths. Germany is on 19,848 cases with 68 more deaths to date, but that has gained by 24 today, so we can expect that 68 to be a fairly dramatically higher figure within the next few days. Iran is on roughly the same number of cases. It has 1,433 cases admitted to, but as they have all but openly admitted, they're not counting what happens in their prisons. And in order to stop the spread, they have been letting prisoners out selectively on tags to take them back into custody, I presume, once the virus has passed through Iran, which of course will actually mean that they probably end up with a cell each because they are likely to lose a lot of people in their prisons. America is the next in line with 18,755 cases declared, and we all well know that America has tested very, very, very few of its population of 350 to 70 million, because the most they have had is 1.3 million test kits. And I doubt they've used very many of them yet. But they also have 237 dead. France is following them with 12,600 cases and 94 deaths. South Korea, correction, and 450 deaths. I said 94, my error. 94 was the line below South Korea, which is South Korea, that has declared 8,652 cases. The UK is currently on 3,983, as Richard said, with 177 deaths. So that's basically the large numbers in the top 10. The fall away after that is significant, with only Switzerland, Netherlands, Austria, Belgium, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Malaysia, and Portugal topping 1,000 cases declared each or more.
Greg, thank you for that. Now, what I've noticed of interest today I mean, President Trump in the last couple of days, he's been holding regular press conferences and speeches to the nation. And he's announced a whole series of packages in order to assist those now affected by the coronavirus. And I can't remember the exact figures, but they're totting up pretty close to $1 trillion. Our Prime Minister and Chancellor of the Exchequer have made various announcements, which you could perhaps update us with. But in both cases, the opposition have turned around and said it's not enough. It's not enough. I thought these people were supposed to be working together in a crisis.
One would have hoped so, but then again, we do know that in America, the people have absolutely no trust in their government. And this is being manifest at the moment, that in the midst of this crisis, gun sales are at their highest figures ever. Because obviously, no one trusts the government to solve the problem or keep the peace, and people intend to protect themselves and their various food stashes because they don't believe that the state they employ has the ability or the will to do the job for them. At least we don't face that dilemma in Britain. We do know that the government has done, in as far as realistically anybody can think, not only the very best, but the very best they possibly can under the circumstances. Wages are being guaranteed for people who lose their jobs in companies that cannot survive the shutdowns. Schools are remaining open to take care of children of key workers within our society: doctors, nurses, firemen, police, journalists, and the like. How journalists crept in there, I'm not sure, but they are on the list, and various other key workers. The schools, although they're closed for normal school, are being kept open to maintain security for children of key workers. The government has also announced the outlines, the skeleton of their plan for dropping all forms of end-of-year exams this year and reverting to grades on work done during the year, which will almost definitely be accepted by our universities when September comes around. Schools are not expected to reopen until September, and the whole society is coping pretty well with the fact that these harsh and generous developments have been brought into the society. Some people are acting like idiots and panic buying commodities, and for some extraordinary reason, since it's a respiratory disease, they're buying toilet rolls. God knows what they would be buying if it was cholera. But there have been, in a few places, abuse of supermarket staff because of the idiocy of some of the customers who have managed to strip the supermarket of commodities like Dettol, of which you can only use one bottle at a time. There's no shortage of these commodities in Britain. There is just difficulty judging which bunch of idiots are coming into your store to buy super amounts of given commodities on a given day, which means that the shelves get stripped by these people, meaning that the elderly, people who are in key jobs looking after us, and nursing staff and the like, finish their shifts, go into the supermarket, and shelves are empty because the selfish have decided to panic buy that day. The next day, the shelves are full again. But this doesn't help the people who are forced, either by their income, by their circumstances, or by the fact that they have to carry their stuff home because they don't have personal transport, have come in shopping on a daily basis. It's purely selfishness. that means that we have this problem. There's another lorry load coming as soon as they can get it there. The warehouses around the country have adequate supplies. Toilet rolls, how they run out or why, heaven knows, because toilet rolls are manufactured in this country. They are manufactured to an extent based on requirement, except when people come in and buy 100 at a time. And that's months worth of supply. So the system is creaking in points, proving difficulty in others, and much to my chagrin, the Prime Minister has announced this evening that he's closing all coffee bars, and he's doing so from close of business today. And since my wife and I are decent coffee addicts, we tend to meet friends in those coffee bars. Neither of us being very much into alcohol. I have few enough brain cells without killing them. So that is the status at the moment. The government has definitely made the right moves at the right time, give or take a little bit. Some people will say they should have done it a little earlier, or they shouldn't have done it quite yet, but the main thrust of their activities have been exemplary. They have been trying to take others along with them. They have the scientists backing them. They have obviously the best advice available within the country, and they're working on that advice. They have the chief medical officer and his personnel working with them. They have the NHS working with them. And unfortunately, they have certain elements of the Labour Party doing anything they can to posture and pose and claim that the government's doing it completely wrong. Sorry, we elected this government. We elected them to do the job. And I think the only part they've missed out on is following the example of America and buying enough bullets to keep the others quiet and stop destabilizing people's belief in the government, because working with our government, we will come out of this in a good position. Attacking them and ignoring them, all that is being harmed is the people of the country, and the ones being harmed most are those who are unfortunate enough to get the virus. Well done to the government so far. Let's hope we can keep the ship afloat.
Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed.
We hope you enjoyed that discussion, and if so, kindly subscribe to our channel and press the bell sign so that you are notified of our videos as and when they are published. And also in the description box below, we place links to certain books, articles, and programs which you may find of benefit, and for which we will receive a small commission should you purchase through our link. And this will help support our channel and to enable us to develop it further.